Welcome to the Off-Chain Podcast. Don here with you. Hope you're having a really good day so far today. Our guest today is Burnt Banksy, CEO of Burnt and XION, the first layer one purpose-built for consumer adoption. Burnt believes everyone should have the same access to true ownership. So we're really excited to talk about Burnt setting himself on fire, why chain abstraction is key to enabling mass adoption, and how XION is creating the cross-chain future today. Let's dive in. How did you get started in Web3? Tell us a little bit about your origin story.
Yeah, absolutely. My origin story, of course, kind of comes with my name, actually. And so about 3 years ago, I bought a Banksy art piece. I got it professionally photographed and I lit it on fire. The name Burnt Banksy. And then kind of coming off of that, we sold that on OpenSea as an NFT. We were the highest average price NFT sale on OpenSea in all of 2021, and still in the Wikipedia for the word NFT today.
Wow! All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
So had you been involved with cryptocurrency or Web3 or blockchain or anything like that beforehand? Did that come as part of this adventure, or what's the kind of genesis there?
Absolutely. So my real name is Anthony. So the way that Anthony, I guess, got involved in Web3, I'm actually in New York right now, and have been in New York since 2015, 2016. And around that time, you kind of saw this genesis of what you kind of now see to be modern day crypto. You had Consensus, which is a very big very big thing. They built MetaMask that you see today. You had Uniswap coming out. Really, a lot of crypto was starting in New York at the time. And I was a student at the time in New York. And as a student in the dorms, they gave you free electricity. And, I definitely took way too much advantage of that and said, you know what, this new Ethereum thing seems very interesting. And so I used the free electricity that I was so very graciously gifted, and effectively it was mining Ethereum, and that's how I paid for my tuition.
Wow, man, that's amazing. Was that a common practice?
No, I got into a lot of trouble. They thought I was hacking the school, actually, and then I had to explain to them what I was doing after lying to them, saying that I was a professional Twitch streamer. Like, a little background, actually. It was such a bad job that what I did. I literally went to B&H Photo, which, if anyone is not familiar with New York, it's a very big electronics store. And I just bought GPUs because at the time you could walk into a store and buy GPUs. Mm-hmm. We went to Home Depot, got like a wireframe mesh that you would kind of put your shoes on. And we got a bunch of zip ties, and we just zip tied a bunch of GPUs dangling on this wireframe mesh with a motherboard on cardboard and an open power supply covered in box fans. And so we were tripping the breaker every single day at this school. And it got to a point where it was not, I got greedy, and it was like, I remember we started off small with maybe when I say small, I'm talking 16 GPUs. It got, yeah. Oh yeah. And then it got to a point where they're like, what are you doing that's drawing so much electricity? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, I'm a professional Twitch streamer. I need this to edit my videos. Easily fact checkable. Not a Twitch streamer. And give it like a month. I'm continuously adding more GPUs. We're continuously adding more power. And then they're like, they actually just think I'm hacking the school. Like, they can't explain it. I'm draining too much power, and they think I'm hacking the school. And so I get a reprimandary meeting, and I explain to them Ethereum, and with the idea of, well, it doesn't say anywhere in the rule book that I can't mine Ethereum.
Yeah.
Which is now in the rule book, and I was not allowed back in the dorms. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was not great.
I was just thinking, you started as 16 GPUs. That's going to be already a pretty warm dorm room. We're
in New York. It was winter. The doors were open, and I was sweating.
Oh, man. Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. So really, from the mining and maybe even finance incentive perspective was kind of more your entry into the blockchain environment. Okay, so you get shut down. They come in and shut you down. You got a bunch of GPUs. You have a bunch of Ethereum, I'm assuming, and now a taste for it. Was it was the thing you were studying at university the thing that you ended up? Did you like utilize that, or was this a pivot for you?
Actually, you know what? It was around that time I actually started studying finance. So I guess, I've been avoiding saying the name, but it doesn't really matter too much, honestly. But I was studying at NYU Stern in the School of Business, studying finance.
Mm-hmm.
And during this process, it was one of those, what the fuck am I doing? And then completely changed it up to computer science. I fell in love with crypto immediately. And honestly, the rest is genuinely history. I finished off with a comp sci.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's a pretty good combination, though, with finance and computer science when it comes to crypto. Yeah.
Yeah,
oh, man.
exactly.
Okay. That's a very interesting origin story there. Tell us then, how did actually, we got to talk about the Banksy thing more. Are you a fan of art? Was this a publicity thing? Was this hey, this will be really interesting? Is this a drive for content creation? Or is this a part of art for you?
I got to take a couple of those into consideration because you have to understand the perspective of crypto at this time when I did it. The highest NFT ever really sold at this time was like $100,000. Mm-hmm. And it was like, we had CryptoPunks, plural, right? And this was at the time where you had CryptoPunks and that wasn't really impressive. And the biggest thing was CryptoKitties. And it was me and the guy that I was mining with, actually, and we had been so into crypto. And, there was an aspect of crypto which was, we were being made fun of, naturally, as nerds typically tend to be, which was, the NFTs aren't ever going to be art. If it's not in my living room, if I can't touch it, if I can't see it, if I can't show it to my friend, there's no value in it.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, you know what? Okay. How about this? Let's take something. This is where it started. This is the impetus, right? Let's take something that has value and let's destroy it and turn it into an NFT, right? Let's destroy it and try to transfer it into the digital and see if it has value. And then where my kind of art nerd side comes in is like, well, we probably should do Banksy. That makes logical sense, especially very recently before he had done the shredding. I believe it's Sotheby's. Yeah. And if you actually look at the piece, it's entitled Morons, and it actually makes fun of the English auction style of like, right? And on the thing, it says, I can't believe you morons actually buy this shit. And it was, when I say it was the perfect piece, it was the perfect piece, right? It had a Sotheby's auction selling point. It had the certificate of authenticity to it. And it was Banksy, and it was perfect. And so that's where my kind of art nerd side comes in, and there was a part of it, like, I remember sitting there, it was me, my buddy Eric, and my buddy Mirza, and I remember we were just sitting there and we're like, we bought the piece for $90,000. And at the time, the highest sold NFT was $100,000. So we did not think we were going to make money on this, right? We were like, we set the min, I believe it was like $40,000, and we were really happy with that. We're like, this would be awesome. If we hit this min, it's going to be really awesome. And we did something cool, whatever we tried. It was a lot of fun. We got some cool people. Vice News photographed it. And maybe something happens out of it. I would never have guessed the level of what happened. And to this day, I'm still in genuine disbelief and shock. And I think that, it ended up selling for $400,000, which was the highest price NFT ever sold at the time. And then for all of 2021, we sold it on OpenSea. It was the highest average price sale on OpenSea. And to this day, right, 3 years later, it's still something, that is, I go by Burnt. My name is Burnt Banksy. This is my, but I have to admit that at the moment, it was this life wasn't foreseen, and now I love it, right? And it really sparked the conversation. Then it kind of became one of those things where we sparked the conversation, and I felt the want and drive to continue the conversation, right? And we can get into XION with that later, but I think that aspect of I want the world to know about crypto. This is something that I am deeply care about. This is my life. I love this. I will defend this to the day that I die. And I don't want to be doing anything else. And it really kind of started with this. And, so I know I kind of rambled on that question a little bit, but...
Well, man, in the couple of years since then, once you look back at that, and considering everything that you have built and you currently are building, you look back at that, is that I'm imagining that you got a bit of pushback on that, like all of those people who were laughing at you at university going, "Oh, crypto bros," would have, confirmed a few of their, not worst fears, but, the jokes maybe that they had made. But now, a few years later, how do you view that period of time in your life?
I mean, I was a fucking idiot. They were probably right. I mean, obviously not, but it was this new frontier. No one had heard about NFTs before. And then 6 months later, they had been on SNL, right? And actually, Banksy was the first ever Sotheby's or Christie's, I forget which one, auction denominated in Ethereum, which I took as a personal win.
Yeah.
But, what do I say to them? I mean, they're all telling me congratulations. That's what it is. I remember my voice is I have a Jewish mother, and so I wasn't spoken to for like 3 days before I actually lit the thing on fire, and I got the whole work. And so I remember, I lit myself on fire about like 2 months ago, and I remember she calls me during that, of course, screaming, "How are you lighting yourself on fire? Blah blah blah." And I go, Mom, you did this already before. I'm like, and now you just say congratulations. So can we just cut the middleman out here?
Skip to the congrats.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
All right. So started dabbling with, and then became a bit of a big time miner in a small pool, maybe big time miner. Then really cracked open NFTs a couple of years later, and then again fast forward another couple of years. How did the idea you mentioned XION before, how did the idea for XION come about? What is it? Why do we need it? And let's start with, how'd you come up with the idea?
So let's start with probably starting with what it is, and that'll probably lead into it.
Yeah.
And they all probably go along, right? Crypto sucks. It is unusable. If you don't know about it, it is like a multi-day process that is terrible to use. And then you're like, why did I even do all of this stuff in the first place? And it's miserable, right? And I had a bunch of people who support me and care about me and wanted to see what I was doing and genuinely couldn't. And I think very similarly to the Burnt Banksy and kind of the following up of the Burnt Banksy, it's I want the world to understand crypto, right? I want to bring crypto to the world, and that's exact. And I'm not saying I'm going to do that via better education. That's not. I'm not going to make an easier wallet. I'm not going to make the bridge process easier. I'm going to make it so that user behaviors don't change. And we've been building for about 3 years to ensure that user behaviors don't change. That's XION. Right. We want to make crypto disappear.
Yeah, okay. So utilize all the benefits, but people don't know they're using it.
Listen, I don't even know where, we're recording on Ecamm Live. I don't know where Ecamm Live is hosted. I know that we're able to have this conversation, and I don't need to know what's powering it. Similar with XION.
Okay, then what makes it better? So people who are in crypto, I hear this semi-regularly. There's the one cohort that says we need to take like blockchain or crypto to the masses, and there's the others that say forget the masses. Where this is, we're building something for us, and if you can't understand it, then you're going to miss out. Educate yourself, like you're saying. People,
and they're going to lose. That's just the nature of the game.
Yeah,
that's what it is. We are the first and only walletless L1. So everything on our chain completely walletless, which means that we can actually be on any device. We can use legacy like Phantom wallets and MetaMask wallets or whatever wallets. Doesn't matter. But we could also say, hey, what about email? What about phone number? What about Twitter? Right? And then make it look like it's a plaid login or something like that, right? And I think the grand vision really is to just be going through the internet, log into a website, and be able to use the website without having to say, oh, well, do I have this plugin or have I moved my it's hard because, there's probably people, listeners at home who don't understand how absolutely miserable crypto is. But if you could take trust my word on this, crypto is absolutely miserable. And, and I think there's this huge barrier of entry for users, which then creates this like chicken and egg problem of like, there's no users, therefore there's no products, and then there's no products, therefore there's no users. Because if you're actually interacting in the crypto space, there's like, you have swaps, like to swap tokens, you have NFT marketplaces, you have some form of exchange another way, and that's about it. Like, those are the products in crypto, and then all of them take about 5 days to probably onboard to.
Okay, so we're talking about friction in some sense as well in terms of onboarding and utilizing. How does
friction?
How does it change the game in terms of like compared to Ethereum or Bitcoin, the two probably that most people have heard of in terms of blockchains? You mentioned, does it have a wallet? How does that even work? How is it still meaningfully blockchain or crypto and not at the same time?
Yeah, that's a great point. It is so Bitcoin is kind of realm of its own. I think Bitcoin exists as a store of value, and I don't think, I think the term cryptocurrency is, or the term cryptography, it's so vague, right? But kind of going into like the Ethereums, the Solanas of the world, we actually work with all of them, and so you're able to move through all of these guys super simple. And so when we say it's walletless, everything is on what we would call a protocol level as a smart contract account. This effectively means that rather than saying like, so there's two terms that I'm going to introduce here. There's EOA, which is externally owned account, which is what you would think of as a wallet. And the reason EOAs exist is because when Ethereum came out in 2015, this was the first time we ever really had smart contracts. And they said, well, we need a public-private key to make sure that everything's encrypted. We can't, and it's on the internet. So we can't really just store the private key on the internet because that's the biggest way to get hacked in the world and the easiest.
Yeah.
So then you got wallets, right? And wallets are like a bouncer to a nightclub, right? They know you. They'll let you in if they know you, but like you're not getting in if they don't know you. And so like they were created to effectively solve this problem, right? Of saying, well, we need public-private key encryption. Let's keep these private keys safe while still, not requiring you to have a ledger or YubiKey every time, right? And so that's what an EOA is, and this is the legacy decision behind that. And a lot of where crypto was based around the concept of what we call multi-sig, which we don't have to really get into the whole history of Ethereum and things like that, but effectively was like large enterprises are going to use this. There's going to be more than one person involved in these decisions, which ended up not kind of the case. And so kind of going back to the concept of smart contracts, right? This is the first time you have deployable code on a blockchain. And you then have this EOA aspect coming before the smart contract aspect, right? And now with kind of no consideration of other chains ever coming to fruition. Now let's fast forward 5 or so years. There's many chains coming into existence, many different signature schemas, many different wallets, many different everything, many different standards, whatever it be. But all of them follow this one simple logic of there will be deployable, executable code on chain. And so now what this means is it's code, right? And so rather than saying, hey, let's make everything be public-private key pair because that's what everyone else has done before, let's take a book out of like Signal or some of these message encryption softwares and say, let's separate identity from authentication and be able to log in and sign like a JSON web token with a Gmail, log in with a Gmail, and also, be able to encrypt an entire session. And so when I say walletless, we've completely removed that wallet. And I know this, I apologize for kind of the long-winded answer here, so I'll try to wrap this up. But
That's good.
The ability to kind of remove the wallets, which need to be a Chrome extension or something like that, not necessarily being, we are completely signature agnostic. We can use any signature in the book. We can be on any device. I was just on a Stairmaster and used a XION application, which was great to pass the time. But we have completely removed the largest cause of friction in crypto and are completely collaborative with every other blockchain.
All right, so how do you do that and not fall into the trap of something like, remember Brave Browser tried to do something similar, or they tried to do something that would work as a plugin, but still with a wallet, because they needed the wallet for safety. How do you do that abstraction? How do you separate the authentication from the identity or not use a wallet? How do we keep safe? Which is one of the, how do we keep things trustless again, which is one of the kind of key reasons you want to use smart contracts or blockchain.
Absolutely.
How do you solve that?
A lot of it's actually improved more because it's a instance of a smart contract that's deployed on the protocol level. So the entire protocol needs to be exploited, which is obviously extremely, extremely secured by many, many validators, right?
Yeah.
This is what the engineering team spends an immense amount of time on, right? But rather than kind of on that aspect, right, everything is an instance of this smart contract, and that's smart, right, on the protocol level. And so not only does it need to pass like through the validators and every consensus mechanism it's that, but also needs to be validated by kind of the signature, right? And so when you have JSON Web Token, let's just say, being able to provide the session key as a public key, and then being able to understand the instance of the smart contract that's on the protocol level is effectively how we're getting past this aspect of, and not necessarily past this aspect, but it's more necessarily a different way of looking at things.
Gotcha.
That kind of borrows from legacy Web 2.
Yeah, right. So how does a person who hasn't ever used a smart contract before, hasn't bought an NFT or doesn't own any Ethereum or Bitcoin, how do they then, either on or through XION, how do they log in or participate or authenticate? What does that practically or mechanically look like?
Yeah, I mean, so we actually just had a test net, had about 3 million people kind of using it, doing this exact same thing. It's not a little, I would say. But the only way to do it was to log in through email. Log in through email, and then that was effectively it. As we start getting more and more advanced, that's going to include phone number, that's going to include social, and then there's going to be advanced tabs, which will say Phantom, will say MetaMask, and you can add, right, and then you get into like this 2FA aspect, right, or this if you really more kind of power user, care about security a lot more, being able to add like a key swap, right? And so being able to say, I want to log in with both, I want to log in with email and phone number, but if I lose my account, I want to restore it with my MetaMask, or I want to restore it with my Twitter, which now we have that option to do when you've never, ever had that before.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh man, all right. Yeah. Well, talk to me about one of the things that a couple of months ago, the thing that really kind of intrigued me about what you're building with XION is the cross-chain abstraction. What is that? Explain it for people who, most of our listeners are at least in Web3 or understand a little bit, so you don't have to doesn't have to be like the really dumbed down version, but what does that mean and why is it beneficial?
Yeah, so I mean, effectively what we say, right, the North Star for everything is we want to make crypto disappear. And as I said, we work with Solana, we work with Ethereum, we want to be composable with everyone, and we want all the benefits of crypto to be seen without having to interact with crypto. And so when we talk about chain abstraction, right, a lot of that really, really revolves around the fact of, well, it doesn't matter what chain you're on. I want you to, again, be able to traverse the internet. If you deploy it on Solana, great. If you deploy it on Ethereum, great. If you deploy it on your own app chain, great. You should still just log in, use a website, and not have to worry. And of course, that's kind of the main goal. The way that we're able to do this is what we kind of talked about before, with everything being a smart contract. smart contract exists everywhere. It exists on Solana, it exists on Ethereum, it exists on every L2, and we can effectively mirror transactions across all of them, work with a lot of bridges and interoperability solutions to be able to create a very, very seamless omni-chain experience. Happy to dive into that.
Yeah. Okay. So if we bring that back to, so that means therefore that I, as a user, don't need to care, like you're saying, about if I want to engage in DeFi, or I want to engage in a smart contract that's on Ethereum and something else that's on Solana, for example, I can do that without having to actually go, like, have a wallet on each of those chains, go in and
correct,
engage with those chains. I can actually do that all on Zion.
And you can use it with your credit card, right? Like, and I think that's going to be an important, and everything's denominated in dollars, right? So it doesn't, I want you to be able to go from Etsy to OpenSea and not know that you're like, or eBay to OpenSea and not know that you're in different places, really.
Yeah, gotcha. So is the primary goal then to get all of the current Web3 ecosystem usable by Web2 and, quote, normies or the everyday person, or is the goal to bring eBay on chain?
eBay on chain. I mean, naturally. And I'll tell you why. Because there is no reason to engage in crypto right now if you're not trying to just make money. I think speculation and profiteering is the only driver for people to onboard. And I think that as an industry, we really need to change to actually provide value to people. And I think we're slowly getting there, but I think the faster way to get there is to talk to people who are genuinely solving problems and be able to help them solve it better.
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously people agree with you because your ecosystem partners, reads like a who's who of Web3.
Thank you.
What do you think is, what is it, do you think? Is it because you have really hit the nail on something that's a big pain or pressure point? Is it something that is actually solving a lot of their problems? Is it because you've been able to make a lot of waves in the past and people are like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing. Whatever it is he's working on, this is going to be something to be a part of. What do you think it is that's rallying so many people who may even naturally be competitors with one another, but all coming into this ecosystem?
First of all, who doesn't love more users? Sure. Always great. Second of all, I mean, I've I can't really say this, but I've heard in passing that people have described me as a very charismatic, amazing person. Of course, I'm not saying that, but people have described me as that. So, yeah. But I'm kidding. But I think a lot of people understand the right, and I think there's like, I know we can talk about the people who say, oh, we're gonna only build for us, learn or die. Those people are not on our ecosystem. It's everyone else that's in our ecosystem, right? And I think I've been in this industry for a while. I know a lot of people and a lot of amazing, amazing people. And I think you look at crypto, and the beautiful thing about it is I think everyone's really working for something very, very similar, right? We all have the ethos aligned, and it is a very, very aligned industry. And I think it's like, it's definitely one of those industries which is, hey, we have maybe 15 users in total as an industry, kind of as it stands. Yeah. What scraps are we fighting for? Like, the real enemy is out there, not in here. I was talking to someone, this was at 8:59. This was 42 minutes ago, where we're talking to like someone who would probably be considered a competitor to us. And it literally, my message was, chain abstraction is really heating up. I'm like, I couldn't be happy to work with you guys on this stuff, right? And it's just genuinely beautiful. And like, you would look at any other industry and this would be probably extremely competitive, but we have so much progress to be made and so much to do. It's so foolish to try to be competitive in this industry, because there's more than enough to go around, and the ethos, as long as you're kind of promoting that and getting just good people on your side, like, there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs of this industry. The bad people tend to leave during the bad of this industry. They tend to pivot to AI too, especially in this last one. But
yeah.
Suffice to say, everyone on the who's who of kind of our ecosystem are my friends, and I couldn't be happier about that. And I love everyone to death. And they're just brilliant people who all share the same vision, all share the same goal, and it's genuinely beautiful.
Yeah, man, that's great. Is there anything that's happening in or coming out from any of those partners, or even just in crypto generally, that you're particularly excited about for the next 6 months, other than what you're working on? What are kind of things you're like, oh man, this is going to be great?
In the next 6 months, and I'm not allowed to say XION? Shit.
We'll talk more about XION in a minute.
Cool. What am I excited for? I think that there are a lot of unsexy problems that need to be solved. And I think that those are what excite me, because they're the people who normally wouldn't really get the kind of, call it credit, or like the glitz or whatever. And I think these are like the important problems that need to be solved. And I think I'm actually really, really excited to be at a point in the industry as well where products can exist. And I think chicken and egg, right? No users exist because no products exist. No products exist because no users exist. But I think now that we can have a total addressable market for a product that's larger than the users of MetaMask, I think we have a long, long, long road of growth ahead of us. And I think, you looked at crypto adoption rates and it mimicked the internet, which if you think that's a good thing, I'd laugh, because the internet, it required a hardware investment when crypto doesn't. And I think the fact of the matter is, like, crypto is so difficult. It's seeing levels of adoption similar to that of buying a computer, when it's literally just downloading a MetaMask. So I'm excited for products. You look at the top 100, there's no real products there, or they're just copy paste of other old products. So really, really excited for products to be able to thrive. And then I think, like, a cheers to the people who are in the background solving the tough problems.
Great answer, man. It's funny, I spend quite a bit of my time in kind of the VC part of crypto and blockchain, and it's funny to me how some VCs will really chase after the sexy thing, and like I said, with so many builders or people in the industry maybe have really pivoted over to AI. VCs are doing likewise, and yeah, there are many who are among the ones that I trust the most who, man, they are allocating into the seemingly unsexy, but it's the stuff that's building, literally the future. So it's for me that is, it's interesting how the unsexy stuff is the stuff that can make a gargantuan difference. When you're thinking about AI, is that impacting your thinking around XION or rollout, or is it not at all? Or not meaningful?
Not at all. I have a vision. I have a goal. I don't want to get caught up in narratives. If I had started with an AI narrative, I would be sticking with the AI narrative. It's very reminiscent to me, I would say, of 2017, 2018 crypto, where I believe TensorFlow 3 came out in 2019, and you saw this like massive spike of, crypto going down, AI going up, and then AI kind of flipping and back. It's tech cycles, man, right? So it's you get innovation, and then you get you always get the new innovation, and then this kind of like curve, I would say, of wow, this is the next big thing, and then realization that, hey, this actually has a long way to go, and then a slow decline, and then eventually the other one, right? And I think you look at this with AI. It was actually interesting. I was reading the book Crossing the Chasm the other day. And great book, especially for what we're doing. It's a great book. Recommend anyone at home reading it. But it's very funny because I would believe, like, the book was written in '98, and it's about like reaching mainstream users of like technology companies. It's terrifically outdated and absolutely hilarious, but it's still definitely worth the read. But I remember I was laughing because I was rereading the book, and I remember talking to my team, and it was like there was one quote in there, something along the, of course I'm paraphrasing, but it was like it was like AI has been tried and failed, and no one will successfully use AI in marketing. And I was like, ah, man, if this book is written today, you'd be pissed, dude. But it just goes to show the power of narrative trends. And I think money always needs to find a narrative, especially in the tech investing world. And so, I think innovation breeds narratives, and then narrative, it's the age old meme, which is like hard times create great men create great times create bad men create hard times. And it's like that perpetuating cycle.
What is the narrative that you, when Zion was just an idea, what was that narrative that you took to investors and potential teammates and hires? How did you sell it when it was nothing?
Oh, I thought I was too good of that. I thought I was too good. I definitely regret that. I definitely probably could have done a lot better, but it was funny, actually. You want to laugh? We got really, really lucky with the narrative right now is chain abstraction. That's definitely the narrative.
Sure.
And we got really, really lucky with that. And I'll be honest, I had a friend who was like all into the narrative game, and I'm just like, I really want to build a great product. I really believe in this. This is like, you're like a loser, right? No, I'm just kidding. But I remember, like, we wrote the generalized abstraction white paper, and we had called it generalized abstraction since 2021 or 22 probably. We called it generalized abstraction, and we were like, we refused to, AI came, the markets crashed, like, we want to abstract everything, same narrative, same everything. And we got very, very fortunate with chain abstraction, I will say, because it was like, this is something that we've been saying for years. Sure, I have to change generalized to chain, whatever. That's I'm okay with this. I'll succumb to that, but I'm not gonna say that I'm like a restaking Bitcoin L3 on top. Like that's not me.
Well, so how do you explain it to your mom then, in between burning various things, including yourself?
Dude, I've been in this industry. I've been working in this industry fucking years. This is the first testnet that my mom could ever use. And she calls me like a month ago and it's like, I finally get what you're doing. And I was like, and she's like trying to give me tips, right? She's like, I use this Earn OS and, they should be collecting data. So blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah. Cool. Like, no, it's great, right? And it's definitely like, it's a testament to like what we've built, right? Because I've tried getting her a Phantom. I've tried doing the whole crypto thing with her. And it's not going to happen, and it shouldn't happen, right? And the fact that she's like, oh, my friend actually uses Zion, it's like, that's crazy to me. Like, that is incredible to me. So I don't have to explain it to her, and that's the whole point, right?
Oh man, that's cool. Well, in that case, then how do you go from 3 million testers to 1 billion users?
I don't think I think it's by providing the tools. It's product driven. I think it's the ecosystem and the product driven. I think you saw for a while, like with like Polygon spending $40 million on a Starbucks partnership. Yeah. For a while, you had this dynamic of layer ones, which was layer one to brand, right? And it's, oh, hey, brand, do crypto. And it's just, it's solutionism, right? Like that's at its baseline, that's what it is. And so I think if you can actually provide the tools to increase the total addressable market for products, to then be able to reach out to these brands, like most of the products that deploy on us, the CEOs are not crypto native. And I'm kind of probably personally walking them through like what they need to know, on like a day-to-day basis, right? And that's awesome. And that's what we should be doing. And that's how we're able to say, hey, Uber and Samsung and North Face and all of these cool brands are working with Zion, is because there's this middle layer of actual products, right? And that's where the success of Zion comes from. Very similarly to AWS, it's the people who use AWS, right, to record their podcasts and to send emails, not AWS, right? No, unless you're a power user, you should not know what AWS is. And I do think of Zion very, very similarly.
One of the things that I've been concerned about, because I philosophically 100% agree that the future of crypto and blockchain Web3, whatever you call it, is kind of burying it so that people don't even know that they're really using it. My fear in that is, though, that people then neglect it and won't build on it. But people are, like you just used the AWS example, people are building on AWS all the time, or if it just becomes the industry standard, that's the thing that you learn. I don't care necessarily how people use it or how it works. I care that I can go on the internet and get the things that I need to, or I don't care how my mobile phone works, but I care that it does.
If I'm ordering food, I don't care anything that it just comes to me warm and I can eat it.
Yeah, that's right. But somebody cares because there's opportunity and profit, or they're interested in it, or they geek out on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so you're not worried about that problem at all. It's not a problem. It's just opportunity.
No, it's opportunity. There's a huge world out there, and I think, again, people need to understand the benefits of crypto, and I'll make sure of it.
How does Zion operate or interact with Bitcoin? Bitcoin is the big dog. It's the one that most people follow. Rises and takes the market up with it, pulls the market down with it. Sometimes just does its own thing, but it is the one. How does Zion interact with, or what is kind of the future or your vision for Zion in regard to Bitcoin?
I think as an industry, we're maturing to a point that we won't interact at all. I don't think there will be any overlap. I think it might be, but I really don't think that there'll be much overlap, because I think Bitcoin was the proof of concept effectively, and the MVP and the first real product. I don't want to diminish Bitcoin. I really don't. But I think that it's like saying, it would be like saying, hey, Instagram, how do you think that the price of gold will impact your business? And they're like,
sure.
That's minimum. Maybe someone who holds gold will use Instagram. But, I think, I get asked this question, or variations of this question in a different form, which is like, what do you think will win? DeFi, GameFi, SocialFi? And it's like, of course, I don't want to bash you, but like, what a terrible question that is. Like when I get asked that, right? It's like, what do I think will win? The banking system or the gaming industry? Like we're going to mature. I think as an industry, we're going to mature to a point where the use case will grow to a level where people will understand, like it'll just be like the internet, right? Like it would be like, who's winning? It's hard to say because they're all monopolies at this point, but like I was gonna say, who's winning Google and Facebook, right? I'm like, well, damn, they're all the same thing now. But like in the beginning, right, like who would win, Google or Amazon? And it's like, well, those are very different things.
Yeah.
And I hope to never, I guess. Let me say that. I hope this industry matures to a point where we're not affected, and Bitcoin can be dominant, and Bitcoin can be Bitcoin, and we can be Zion.
That's great. I've gone through periods of really heavily ignoring Bitcoin, and others of trying to
ignore Bitcoin.
Keep building over here. Let Bitcoin be Bitcoin. Yeah, I like that one. All right, what are you most excited about Zion then over the next 6 months to a year? What am I most excited
about Zion? I mean, man, we should have. We don't have a lot of time left. I would have rather this with an hour left. I am excited. I am excited for the massive growth that we're about to see. This is the first time that we've really seen the ability to reach like a genuine like blitz scaling opportunity for products to exist in this industry. And I think we've been working with a ton of amazing teams to be able to hit this blitz scaling opportunity. I have no doubt in my mind that within the next 6 months, I mean, listen, Zion, hopefully the success in Zion is not being known, right? I would rather, I am excited for the products that build on us. I'm excited for the teams that find us and understand the power that we can bring, and to leave us in the back, right? I don't want to be seen. That's not what I'm into. I want to provide the tools for that products can take the attention. and this is kind of like the original reason why I was kind of anonymous and go by Burnt Banksy, is because we don't need the attention. We just want crypto to be seen by everyone, and we want the products to take advantage. And I would rather everyone go follow EarnOS than XION right now, or Animation Plus, or any of the ecosystem partners that we have, because that's what makes XION strong.
How can people engage with XION? How do people build on it, invest in it, grow with it, participate in what you're doing? Can you give us a couple of different levels, like for maybe a builder or a project or an ecosystem or a user? What are some of the onboarding? What are things we can do now, and what are some of the things maybe you're hoping we can do in the future?
I would say mostly just a lot of it revolves around socials. I will be honest, right? We are. At least for me, I'm everywhere on the socials, right? Whether it's Twitter with over 700,000 followers, Discord with over 600,000 people in it, Telegram, anywhere there is an army and actually a cult, which is actually one of the things that we call a community, but a literal cult of people who are willing to help. And for developers, like being able to check out the docs, being able to reach out, obviously you'll definitely hear a lot about XION more and more in the coming months. But please reach out. We have an awesome team who's willing to help and walk through the process from deploying to tokenomics to fundraising. I think we've raised over $15 million for ecosystem projects so far in seed rounds alone. And great. we really don't plan on stopping, right? And so we will this is all we care about, right? So please reach out, definitely follow us on socials, and stay up to date, because we have a lot of exciting stuff.
Are there any verticals you're keen to have represented but don't at the moment? Are there any kind of areas you're like, oh man, if you're doing this or that, come speak with me? Or is it just anybody?
If you don't care about crypto, talk to me. You hate crypto, talk to me. If you're doing DeFi, don't talk to me.
Yeah. Okay. One of the things that I really like asking people who come on the show is, what are your, and you've probably already touched on maybe you've touched on a couple of these, but what's your most contrarian view? Everyone's kind of swimming this way, and you're like, I don't think that's right.
What's my non-contrarian view? My most contrarian view is that my most contrarian view, aside from AI, I'll talk purely in crypto. I think my most
have to even be crypto related, just could be in life, but obviously our audience.
I've already said like a million. Yeah, I think I've said a million contrarian views. My biggest contrarian view is that I gotta say that, like, I think AI, I really gotta say the narrative chasing. Like, it probably won't be AI. I think I probably will say the same thing when, like, crypto is really, really hyped. But I think, like, and I used to say this in the last bull market, but narrative chasing leads to death 95% of the time. And I think if you try to chase a narrative, you're always going to die. Like, and maybe this isn't too contrarian, but I would say that, like, you don't need to build with crypto. That's probably my contrarian view. You don't need, your application probably doesn't need crypto. Your application probably doesn't need AI. I get the valuation narrative, but it probably doesn't need it.
That won't get you into trouble. That's fine. Yeah. That's as far as contrarian views go.
The government needs to be dismantled. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man, that's great. Hey, we do have a couple of minutes left, so I'm keen to hear about, for you personally, as how do you consider yourself? Do you consider yourself a founder? Do you consider yourself a visionary? Do you consider yourself primarily a communicator or ideas person, a developer? How do you think about yourself? And I ask because we've got people who are building, people who are investing, people who are users, all in our people who listen. they kind of cross that whole spectrum. And so just kind of hear about your thinking and how you think about yourself.
I'm a cult leader.
Yeah, okay. Talk to me about that. What does that mean?
I am a cult leader. I think that to cross the chasm, you need an army, and we at XION are developing an army. And I am a cult leader because I think we have a vision, crypto specifically, a vision, an ethos, and everything like that. And I think of it more as a cult than anything.
I mean, 600,000 in Discord that's a lot of people to get in a circle.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
I'll bet. If I think about cults, right, I'm thinking about, again, visionary leader, someone who is communicating a vision of a preferred future and then calling people to sacrifice for that. That's what you're doing?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
What's the sacrifice? Is it just the work? Is it abandoning the prior thing?
I don't know why. There doesn't have to be a sacrifice in a cult as the leader, at least.
I don't mean sacrifices in like animals and that kind of stuff. I just mean like there is a personal sacrifice in terms of I have to give up this to go and do that.
Not at all. I love everything that I do. If I did not love it, I would not be doing it. There is no sacrifice at all, because everything genuinely is a positive. Working with the people that I work with is a positive. The community that I work with is a positive. The people around me, the ecosystem, the partners, the projects deploy on us. There is no sacrifice. I love this all.
That's cool, man. What's the next big milestone for XION?
Mainnet and token launch will be pretty soon. So definitely stay attuned to that.
And where can people hear from you more, find out more about mainnet launch, or just learn more about how they can build with on or participate in XION?
Follow us on Twitter, burnt_XION. Check out our testnet on our website, burnt.com, if you want to learn more information. Everything you'll need is there. And ask questions. The community is so helpful. And a lot of great content on the blog. Read the white paper. Test out a lot of the projects on our testnet. It's really exciting.
That's exciting. Hey, you know what? I haven't asked. Should have asked. Obviously, I understand where Burnt Banksy comes from, Anthony, because of the whole burning of Banksy. Where does XION come from? XION.
Yeah. It originally meant Holy Land biblically, but that aged genuinely terribly. And then it kind of fit. Then it fit into abstraction very well. So that's what we're kind of leaning into now.
All right. That's cool. Anthony, really great to chat. Great to hear more about, how you're dealing with abstraction and trying to make crypto kind of go beneath the surface to actually lead to adoption and usage. And really, man, again, like I said before, I was very, very excited when I first read about it a few months ago, what it is that you're up to, and thought, holy moly, all right, we're here. It's happening.
We're here.
So all the best for mainnet, token launch, everything leading up to that. And I'll chuck everything else in the show notes so people can find you. But really great to chat with you today.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you again for the time. This is a ton of fun.
Thanks for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Off-Chain Podcast. We love bringing you great guests like Anthony, and hope we've inspired you to learn more about Web3, about technology, chain abstraction, and the future, and how you might help build it. As always, like, subscribe, or better yet, share this episode with a friend. Help us spread the word, and join us again next week for another exciting episode of Off-Chain Podcast. Until then, take care.